Hey everybody, welcome to a very special Low on Health. As many of you probably know by now, my cat Rufus has passed away. I want to of course first just thank everybody for their condolences and thoughts about Rufus. I know a lot of you have probably actually seen him or met him at one point in your life, maybe some of you haven't, but I like to think because my Facebook group is so small, most of you probably have. Some of you maybe even lived with him if you lived with me, or probably seen him more than once or twice. This video of course is going to serve as a tribute, and I'm going to go over some quick Rufus facts and share some pictures and videos I have of him, since that's what I want to do to kind of remember him by. Right off the bat, I want to mention that I got Rufus as a Valentine's Day gift from the first place that I lived together, from the first girlfriend that I lived with, Sunshine. We decided to get a pet for ourselves for a place for Valentine's Day. We actually went down to one of her family friends down in Dunedin and picked up a cat from a litter. So Rufus is actually from Dunedin, Florida, very close to where actually I currently live now. Because we got him on Valentine's Day, I wanted to kind of give him a solid birthday. We didn't really know what his birthday would be, so I kind of picked February 9th because it coincides with somebody else that a lot of people don't know about from my past, but it kind of helped me just remember the birthday because that birthday was already kind of like red flagged in my mind. Now I know I don't really have that many pictures of Rufus as a kitten. Unfortunately, this was kind of a time before digital cameras were really prevalent, and I didn't really take that many pictures because I was young. So I don't have any pictures of him from, like, you know, Sunshine's and I first place, the guy's place, and even my couple places in Tampa. I really only start to have pictures of him starting from when I got the house at Raintree. I will say with Rufus, he really only had one vet visit. I had him neutered, declawed, and had his basic run of shots, but unfortunately or fortunately, I never actually took him to a vet. He was a pretty healthy cat up to the end, and I really do appreciate that he wasn't really kind of a basket case. He had a couple of instances with, you know, hairballs and whatnot, and as what I'll do is I'll be going through these pictures just kind of slowly. This of course is the front of the house. He wasn't really an outdoor cat, but every now and then we let him kind of go outside just so he could see what the world was like and whatnot, because I didn't want to keep him cooped up all the time. Of course, there he is on my birthday in 2006. Did love his cat food, and he always loved tile. He really loved just laying on cool tile, and that was nice about that place. It had a back porch, and he would go out there, look at the birds, and chill on the table and whatnot. Of course, here's him just on the bed chilling there. And then when I decided to redesign my Final Fantasy shrine, which as many of you probably have seen or haven't seen, there's actually a whole video about my Final Fantasy shrine. He decided to contribute and kind of jump on in there, in which case you can see him kind of playing around in there. Which is kind of cool because, you know, he's named after Rufus from Final Fantasy VII, which I'm not even going to delve onto. Most people do or do not know about it. But it was just kind of cute to have him in the shrine itself. And that's, we're going to jump real quick to a video of him being at Raintree. I have a bunch of old videos and whatnot. We're kind of going to splice together real quick. Okay, so first we see, this is one of my first attempts at doing kind of webcasts and whatnot to keep track of stuff, and I was trying out the camera, and here you see, this is the fast forward version of it, but Rufus always want to be crawling up on people. He was very much a cuddle lap kitty. He would always like to try to get on you and just lounge, which would be great during the winter times, but as some of you know, like during the summer times, depending on what place we were living at, it was very, very difficult to deal with. But he was a very regal cat. He was of course just a straight up black cat, very fluffy, very long hair, almost always kind of shedding, which isn't that big of a deal as long as you're not allergic to cats. There, of course, is Rufus Butt. But he always liked to perch on the side of the couch, and since that was kind of like my main area to hang out when I had the house and the command center, he always just kind of liked chilling out there, which is just a nice way to always have a buddy right next to you. Let's see what the next video up here is going to be. Once again, I'm of course going to give it to Dragon Age Origin, because that was basically my place up here, and of course they had it comes up here. One of my very early videocasts. He would always, of course, try to jump in and walk around. He actually destroyed this one altogether. He knocked the camera off and everything. But this was probably definitely a cold day if I'm wearing a hoodie. But he was always wanting to be in the center of attention, as many of you probably know. And there he goes. He knocks that over. If any of you guys had lived with Rufus, he always liked to be kind of around people. If people were in one room or another, he'd kind of find a nice middle spot where he could, of course, keep an eye on both of them. And this is, of course, him just lounging around in one of the side rooms of the house at Raintree. When we had emptied out the room, I believe he was just kind of looking around, seeing what was different, sniffing what's around. He was a very inquisitive cat. He would always try to get into things as most cats do. But yeah, lovely little cat, always wanting to get into stuff. As you will see through other videos and whatnot, he always liked to get on the counters and just nothing stopped him from doing whatever he wanted to do. Now once again, I don't have a lot of pictures of Rufus from the first trailer that I moved to when I moved out of the house, out of Raintree. I will say that place that I had then actually had this really cool built-in, I built in a cat door on a bookshelf that he could come in easy and out of the porch. I put his litter box on the porch at that place, so it was pretty cool to see him jump in and out of a bookshelf. It made it so that he could go outside if it was hot or cool. He could do whatever he wanted to do. Also kept the litter box outside or inside. These pictures are, of course, from the trailer that I'm currently in, which right now is sweltering. This place that I'm in right now, compared to the treehouse up in Hudson, which had shade, this place I'm in now doesn't. Of course, here are a couple more pictures of him just lounging around in my place, and this you'll see a couple more pictures. He always have a paw on you, or always just like to cuddle. He was very much, like I said before, a lap kitty. Here's, of course, just some random pictures that I took with my iPod Touch that Rose got me and whatnot. This is primarily what I will be doing after this video is editing it, and that's basically my editing stance, because as we most know, I don't have a desk or anything, but he would always be around me, trying to get as much cat hair everywhere. Oh, look at him being all cuddly, and cuddly some more, cuddly some more. It was a very cuddle cat. I really do, of course, miss him. This is, of course, one of our FaceTime with Rose, and she actually took that screen cap and actually did a couple of pictures that you'll probably see of him later. At one point in time, when we first kind of got the place, he was jumping around everywhere. This is him on top of my 16-inch screen TV, which is not good for a cat to be, because he can easily scratch at the screen or muck it all up. But at one point, he was very much trying to figure out where he could and could not go. In which case, he also got upon the AC unit, which is right behind the futon, which, of course, he's standing on it there, which isn't really good for balance issues, but you can kind of see him poking his head out there, probably wanting to go outside. Unfortunately, in this trailer I'm in now, it was not easy just to let him in and out all the time. But that's him at this place. Of course, Dr. Pepper in the background, always wanting to be on me, always wanting to just always be cuddling. Of course, this is, of course, another fun thing he got to do. I could always like pick him up, and he would always just want to hang out on my shoulder, or kind of like in a little baby position. He would always just like to kind of lounge and be on you. Of course, there's none of him just trying to chill in there. And of course, we're going to go to a video real quick of the videos that we kind of took of him being here. Of course, this is not all of them, but the ones that we thought were good enough. Oh yeah, and the picture of him going really kind of high. Is that gonna do it?
Rufus. What? What you talking about?
I know, don't look at the camera.
He's like, no.
Rufus had a very interesting meow and purr, as many of you, maybe a lot of you knew or didn't know. It was kind of cool. Like, you could pet him. You could actually talk with him. That's what a lot of people noticed. If you talk back to him, he would respond back to you. So this is one of the things we were kind of always trying to record of him, just like talking and chirping and meowing along. Of course, he always liked to be on top of stuff. I've never really stopped him from going places or being on top of stuff, which, you know, it's kind of me kind of being a spoiling father. But I didn't really mind him being on top of things until I started dating somebody that was allergic to cats or had allergies to cats, which I don't, which was nice. But yeah, he would always just kind of get on top of things. He liked to kind of perch around. Let's see what the next video is here if it comes up.
Rufus. Meow. Meow. Your eyes look crazy glowy on the camera.
Apologize for the audio levels. But usually whenever we would come home or whatnot, he would always be kind of looking to nudge up on you. As some of you may or may not know, I had a thing called khaki time, which unfortunately I didn't really have on video, where whenever I used to come home, he would kind of go up to my legs where my khaki pants and the pockets were and kind of knead on them. He very much liked to knead on stuff and kind of just press around and try to just kind of claw at it, even though he didn't have claws. So that was one thing I wish I actually had a video of, was him doing his khaki time, which was kind of a, you know, when when you come home and your dog's all happy to see you and whatnot, that's what he would also do. Whenever I used to come home, either from here or at the house or whatnot, he would come up to me and kind of do khaki time on my pants, which was always just cute and adorable. Now, as most of you know, I spend some of my weekends over in Haines City. And now, during the normal weekends, of just like 2 days, I would leave Rufus at the trailer here in Clearwater and leave him with enough food and water and he'd get by. But on the long weekends, like the holiday weekends or just vacations that we take, the Kings were nice enough to let me bring Rufus over to their place. So I would put him in the Jeep, when sometimes he would sit in the front, sometimes he would sit in the back. I also kept water back there for him. But he would enjoy the car ride over on I-4, which, you know, usually about an hour and a half to 2 hours. And a couple times maybe he kind of threw up, and sometimes he shed a bunch. That whole back seat is full of cat hair. But most of the time the trip was pleasant. Here, of course, is the first time he was over there. They have a nice big porch, and he loves porches, and he kind of chilled there, and he slowly got acclimated to the place. Let's see what else we got here. This is Rose, with him on Rose, just lounging and whatnot because he would stay over there. And at the King's place, they have 2 other cats, and when Rufus first started going there, 2 other dogs, Naruto and Gizmo, and the cats being Oliver and Oreo. Now, what I want to do real quick is show a video of when these cats first met each other, which is kind of funny.
Oliver, he has no idea what to do.
This is, of course, Rufus first meeting Oliver. He went into Casey's room, which is Oliver's person.
Rufus.
Casey.
Rufus. Oh, good. Turn around and look. Turn around and look. There's another kitty.
Oliver there, the other one's Oreo, you'll see her in a second, wasn't too happy when he first met Rufus. He was very, just kind of, probably just scared of Rufus. He was a big, black, fluffy cat, and unfortunately right now Rufus is very unaware of this other cat until right now.
What the fuck?
That's Casey.
What noise was that even?
Did Rufus not notice that?
Yeah?
Oliver's like, that's my
No,
body.
we don't need to complicate things, Ruto.
Now, what was nice about the King's estate was they actually had, Rufus was able to have his own little room, their own little side office. We put his litter box in there and his food, and Rufus kind of had his own little area. Just like, of course, Oliver has Casey's room, and Oreo kind of has their back bedroom. But yeah, and they pretty much kind of got off to a rocky start, but over time, they kind of got to be friends. Right here, you will see when Oliver first met Rufus, of course, Rufus being totally unaware of other cats around him at the time. Nice little silhouette of Rufus. No situational awareness whatsoever. Which is okay, because Rufus really only had one other cat that he lived with, Shop, when I lived with Dan and Dawn for a while. He basically hasn't really had that much interaction with other animals or pets. So I was really happy to see him get acclimated and be able to spend time with these animals at the King's house. And from this picture here, you can easily see how Oliver and Rufus eventually got along and they didn't really bother each other. It was kind of interesting because Oliver would always kind of antagonize Oreo, but Rufus usually didn't, put up with any of that. He was very much a no-nonsense kind of cat. If any of the dogs or cats kind of got up in his face, he would pretty much ignore them. Sometimes he would hiss, maybe he would bat them away, but he really didn't, he was kind of the old man of the house, besides Gizmo, of course, until Gizmo passed. But of course, here's a really cool picture of, on the right, you see kind of Rufus's room, as we dubbed it, their side office. Oreo in the back in the parents' bedroom, and then of course Oliver there coming out of Casey's room. Here's another cool picture. You can see Rufus now get the laser eyes, where this one, of course, Oreo has the laser eyes. It's kind of a cool picture shot to see all the 3 cats within the vicinity. Once again, Oliver's kind of always on the pounce patrol. Of course, here's another picture of Rufus with some of their other pets, a bunch of fish. He always liked, once again, just sitting in wherever he could, whenever he was allowed to. He also liked looking out windows and kind of seeing the outside world. A lot of times he would be cooped up inside. So I try to always make sure that on the porches and whatnot where we lived, there would be windows for him to look at. And at the King's place, there was a bunch of those. Of course, here he is getting ready for Thanksgiving. Here's, of course, one of the Christmases, him being at the Christmas tree. Here's him and Gizmo. Unfortunately, right now, both pets have passed, but they were both great pets. Gizmo was great and Rufus was great. They got along fine. They really didn't kind of bug anybody at all. They were both very, very old. Of course, whenever I would bring Rufus to the King's place, I would park my Jeep and kind of just let him walk from the Jeep to their porch so he could get some outdoor time in the grass and whatnot. This is him going through one of their gardens. Cute little kitty. Once again, I didn't really make him an outdoor cat, but I made sure he was able to kind of experience that. And whenever he got outside, he would never just run away. He would always kind of meander around where you're at or kind of just hover around the houses. Of course, this is Carol, this Rose's mom. The family, the Kings took very good care of Rufus. The last couple of weeks and whatnot, basically since I think about May, I left him over there because I was doing a lot of vacationing back and forth with birthdays and conventions and whatnot, and that is where he actually spent his last couple weeks, was with them, which I figured was very nice of them. It was kind of like a nice hospice, and I couldn't think of a better place for him to be, because he would always be able to be around people. At my hot box here in Clearwater, I'm only home from work. I really don't want him crawling on me because it's like sweltering in here, and I know he's probably hot too. So him spending his last moments, his last couple weeks at the King's estate was really nice. Once again, they have tile. He loves tile. It was nice and cool. That, and they would always kind of kind of spoil him. They would always kind of give him treats and whatnot, or leftover food and whatnot, because Carol's a big cook, and they would actually give him little treats and whatnot. These are some of the last pictures of Rufus. I think they were having shrimp that night, and all the pets were waiting for something to drop and whatnot, and they were kind of just feeding them scraps, which I like, because at my place, of course, as most of you know, I eat fast food. There's not that many scraps, but at the King's Estate, there was always plenty of scraps and leftovers, and it was nice to know that Rufus had a nice kind of gourmet type of end. That's kind of one of the last pictures of both cats looking like, what do you got for me? And of course, right here is the drawing that Rose did of Rufus when she took that one picture of him a while back. Let's see what else we got here. And then we're back to this. So right now I'm just going to have a random slideshow of all the pictures that I just kind of showcased running back there. Kind of as a final tribute to Rufus. Some of you have asked, what exactly happened, essentially, how did he pass? Was something wrong? I had noticed a couple weeks, maybe 2 months ago, I noticed that he wasn't eating as much as he used to. He was maybe kind of sluggish, and I was like, you know what, I need to get him out of my trailer in Clearwater because it's getting so hot, and see if, if the Kings will let me have him over at their place, and they did. Mainly because I was also over there a bunch. While he was over there too, we slowly started to notice him, like, he always loved drinking water. He loved their water a lot. He always drank a lot, but we noticed him eating less. And we didn't really know if it's because of all the scraps we were feeding him or whatnot. But as time kind of went by, I noticed him kind of getting thinner, losing some muscle mass, and it was just kind of a slow degradation. And it wasn't until over last Friday, of course, July 18th, when I went over there that I was looking for him, and I noticed he was actually hiding in one of the side bedrooms. He was actually in their bathroom, in their shower, because they have a big shower. And he never goes back there. And they had mentioned he wasn't just feeling well. They expressed some concern about his health earlier in that month too. And of course, I'm more or less one of the people who, I barely take myself to the doctor. I wasn't really going to take him to the vet. He was an old cat. He was 14 years old. He lived a good life, and I was happy that he was there and being immersed with all the people and interaction. But yeah, he was very heavy breathing. He was having issues walking. We kept the water and food dish next to him. And as time just went by, he basically came short of breath, and then he basically just kind of passed. It wasn't really violent or anything really bad. He didn't seem to be in too much pain. He was basically just a cat ready to go, and then he passed that night, which of course sucks. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. He was with me through the majority of my life. I am turning 32 this year, and he was with me for 14 years. He was kind of my first real responsibility, and one that I carried with me through basically all of my adult life. He will be missed. He really kind of helped me through some really tough times and whatnot, but I love the guy, and he was kind of my first son. He was my first, like I said before, my responsibility. I do not believe that I will get another pet. I just don't think, not to replace him or anything, but I think now in my life I know what I want to do. I know what makes me happy. Not saying a pet doesn't make me happy, but I think I no longer kind of need one for that social aspect. But that, in a nutshell, that's Rufus. I know it's a long video, it's a bunch of pictures and whatnot, and once again I'd like to thank everybody for watching this and sending your thoughts and whatnot, and your condolences. It is greatly appreciated. Thanks. And I know Rufus would thank you guys for all the time you spent with him, all the treats. You guys gave him, a lot of people gave him treats for the holidays and whatnot. I always get like stocking stuffers. These treats are for Rufus and whatnot, and I do thank you everybody for that. I know he appreciate that, and I do too. So as always, thank you guys for watching, and I will catch you next time.